Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review again. This time we got something non-dinosaur, non-Jurassic related, but this time another Godzilla figure. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Playmates Godzilla Kong, the New Empire, Tiamat with Submarine. So this is part of the newer wave of these Godzilla Kong figures from Playmates. And these have been out for a while. It's just it took me a while to even find this figure. This one I found at my local Target. And yeah, I'm super excited for it. If you can hear crickets in the background, I am doing this introduction part with the package at night, just so I can go ahead and open the figure, because I really do not want to have to wait to open this guy or this gal until tomorrow, because I hate leaving figures in the box. I like to open them and look at them. So I'd rather just get this done now, and then we'll fast forward to daylight where we can take a closer look at this figure. So here we have Tiamat, and this is a new monster that was shown in the film. It wasn't actually new, it was actually shown in a comic book, but this is its first live action movie appearance. And I think Tiamat was very well done in that movie. Very killer design, which, yes, is not entirely accurate to what we got here in the figure, but we'll get into that closer into the review. And yes, she had very little amount of screen time, which is probably the only thing I dislike. She was killed off pretty easily, but the amount of time she was in there, the amount of time she got to shine on screen was special enough, in my opinion. I just wish that maybe she would have lasted just a bit longer, but it does show how powerful Godzilla is. And so yeah, and actually when I remember being on Instagram and this figure was revealed, I didn't even know Playmates was going to be doing more figures from this line. I thought that was going to be it. And then all of a sudden, I just see pictures of Playmates revealing that they're making a Tiamat and a Mothra. So I got super hyped. I'm super excited to get those in my collection. Obviously, I already got Tiamat, but I'm really excited to get the 6-inch Mothra in my collection. As soon as we can find her. I don't think she's being found in US stores as of yet, but Tiamat is, along with two other figures like another Godzilla and another Kong. Those ones are not ones I'm interested. I just want the new sculpts right now, so I want Tiamat and then obviously Mothra. And then there are two other monsters that I think would make great toys in Playmates, and that would be the Wart Dogs and Scylla. I think those two definitely deserve figures, and hopefully Playmates will give those, especially Scylla, soon enough down the line. But anyways, enough rambling. Let's take a closer look at this box. It's your typical Godzilla Kong New Empire packaging. Really nice colors, eye-catching. It pops off the shelf. An awesome look at Godzilla and Kong. Tiamat with Submarine, pretty much matching the entire sequence from the film. You can get a good scale of just how big Tiamat is. She's huge. She looks really good though in the package, even though she's not entirely accurate to the design in the movie. This is actually more closely to the concept art. But here on the side just says Tiamat, Godzilla Kong New Empire. Here in the back you got a really nice render of Tiamat. Says it's fully articulated and posable. I've seen a lot of reviews of Tiamat already, and I'm hearing a lot of positive things about this figure, saying it's probably the best one out of the Playmates Monsterverse line, or maybe just out of the Godzilla Kong New Empire toy line. Just because of the amount of articulation is packed into this figure, and I can't wait to get a closer look at that for myself. Then obviously you got the main description of the movie up there. Then we got a little bio of Tiamat, which says, deep in the Arctic Ocean, the bioluminescent power of Tiamat pushes back the darkness to reveal intruders like the Monarch Recon submarine, which is pretty much true until she gets obliterated literally by Godzilla. Then we got the other figures in the lineup. We already have all of these. And then we got the two other ones. We got the Godzilla Energized and Kong with Battle Axe. Really cool though. Though I'm just going to be focusing on Tiamat for right now. And then eventually Mothra. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the packaging. Let's go ahead, skip on to daytime, and take a closer look at this awesome figure. Alrighty, so here we have Tiamat out of the package, and I gotta say, taking this figure out and fidgeting with it for a bit before starting this video, at least this portion of the video during the daytime. I really like this figure a lot. I love it, actually. Not like, I love it. It is really great. It's actually as good as everyone was saying it was. You know, the articulation is awesome. The amount of posability that you can get on this figure is just, it's beyond amazing. It's really cool. You know, this is something that you didn't get in the other previous Playmates Godzilla figures, though none of them are per se serpentine like Tiamat is. I actually kind of wish they gave this treatment to the Warbat. The Warbat is probably my least favorite of the MonsterVerse figures in my collection, just because, you know, it's stuck in this pose. You can't really get that figure in a lot of good poses, and it's just it warps really easily if you don't have that stand present. So I don't know, it's probably my least favorite. I really wish they would have given the Warbat the Tiamat treatment by giving it all these different segments of articulation and the long snake-like body it has. I think that figure would have done a lot better. But just this figure in general right here is such a great one. I mean, it's a great monster from the movie, and it has great articulation. So it's just a great overall toy. Kids are gonna love playing with this and moving it around like a snake, or playing with it in the water. You know, and for us collectors, you know, it's gonna be really fun to pose them for pictures or for display. So it's just, this figure is just a lot of fun. It's so good to the point where you actually dismiss the fact that this figure is not entirely accurate to Tiamat design-wise from the film. I mean, obviously that's a pretty big thing that you notice, but you kind of, at least in my opinion, learn to like forgive it, because this figure's like super good. Regardless, and I mean, it captures the look of Tiamat very well, even though, yeah, it's not entirely accurate to the one in the movie. But like I said, you kind of ignore it. It's so good. I do want to point out that design-wise, this Tiamat figure is based off of concept art that they used for that monster in the film. So, like all these toys, you know, with Mattel's Jurassic World figures, and I guess now the Godzilla figures, a lot of their figures are based off of concept art, which to me kind of bugs me. I really wish they would just focus on, you know, final products or the final design. Like, they shouldn't make changes that deep into post-production to the point where they have to like literally finalize it after they hand in these prototypes to the toy companies. That's like the really biggest problem with the Jurassic toys, because a lot of the figures from their Dominion toy line were not entirely accurate to their final form in the film. And you actually got to see a lot of that with the Godzilla Kong figures, even Godzilla vs. Kong too. Like figures like Scar King and Shimo, you can definitely tell by looking at them, they're not exactly how they should look in the movie. Those ones are probably based off of earlier concept designs before the finalized version was shown in the movie. So it is a bit disappointing that toy companies do this, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, who knows, maybe we'll get a more movie accurate one later down the line. But anyways, this one's gonna hold me off. Let's get into the review. I feel like I'm talking way too much. This figure is just super cool. So yeah, this one's based off of concept art, obviously in terms of design and in terms of coloration. And it's a really solid figure. It's a really great one. And I think I want to go into articulation first, because that's where this figure shines in my opinion. So here at the jaw, it can open and close. So very typical there. Really nice. I really wish these flaps right here would move or articulate, so you can maybe get it into like a laying down pose where it's laying against the bodies and then it flares up when it's like roaring like on the film, or you can make them wrap around a monster's head to try to suffocate it like what she tried to do to Godzilla. But yeah, but you know, it is cool with them straight out like that. Here at the head joint right here, it can spin full 360. You can make it look up and down, even left to right. So a lot of great articulation. I think it's probably on a ball joint, but a lot of great movement here in the head. And then at this first segment right here, which probably includes the neck and at least the first attachment of the arms, it can go up and down left and right, but also 360, swivel over 360. And then the arms here can move side to side or pivot in and out, and they can move forward and backwards. And the rest of the segments here are pretty much the same. They can just move. They're basically on a ball joint, so they can move all over the place, twist around. Same with this joint right here. And then you got another joint right here, which includes the hind legs. The hind legs are pretty much the same as the front limbs, so they can just pivot in and out and rotate. And then you got a swivel here at the tail, which is also at a ball joint, so you can get in lots of good poses. So this figure, you can just bend it however you want, and look at that. You can get into like really cool serpentine movements. You can have it strangle another monster like Godzilla. So just really cool stuff. Like the posability on this figure is just amazing on this one. So good. And you also kind of dismiss the fact that sure, some of the sculpt kind of breaks off depending on where these different segments are rotating, because these joints are not stiff. They actually are kind of somewhat loose, but they're a lot more smooth and fluent, so they'll bend to your will. So that's really nice. But yeah, just the amount of, look at that, the posability you can get on this thing, and you can make the head move and swivel around, so you can make this thing like act like a total sea snake, like a sea dragon, like she is. Really cool. So the articulation is just spot on this figure, spot on. We'll go ahead and take a look at detail now, or just the normal sculpt. So here on the head, pretty much matches Tiamat's head very nicely, even to the film a little bit. You got some nice little lines or wrinkles here in the face, which are really nice. You got the little whiskers, I guess you can say, for lack of a better term, which are very flimsy plastic, but they don't feel like they're gonna break, you know, so that's really nice. Nice detail on these ones too, kind of similar to that of a catfish, or kind of like those other interpretations of the Chinese dragons. You know, they always have like that cool serpentine look to them, and they always have like these cool whisker little attachments to them. And you got some more here at the lower part of the jaw, which doesn't have a lot of detail sculpted in. Same with these little flaps. They're a lot smooth. They're pretty smooth. You got some detail here on the edges of them, which is pretty nice. And then these back whisker or attachments here don't have as much detail as the front ones. Inside of the mouth is pretty nicely sculpted. Got the tongue there. It's even got teeth. When I first saw images of this figure, I thought it didn't have teeth. That was gonna be probably the only thing I was gonna primarily dislike, because we all know she has teeth. You know, we saw it in the comic and we saw it in the movie. So she has teeth, and luckily Playmates sculpted in the teeth, except they're very tiny, as you can see here in the lower jaw, and they're not painted. I really wish they were painted. I don't know, that might be something I might do later on, is just paint the teeth just so they can stand out a bit more. And you can see them sculpted here at the roof of the mouth as well. Here at the top of the head, you got some nice scale detail, or the scales, and that continues throughout the entire body. Just look at that there, and you can feel the texture with your finger. Feels very realistic, feels very cool, and that pretty much continues all over the entire body, at least the upper half of the body, which is really nice, very reptilian-like, very dragon-like. So that looks really cool. And then the entire underside has this these lined plate-like scales that are going along the underbelly. So that's pretty nice, nicely detailed there. And that continues pretty much all throughout the tail. So nice amount of detail there with the scales. The tail ends in like this lined, wrinkly texture. So it's not scales or anything. They're just kind of like this wrinkly texture. So that's pretty interesting. These little spines that she has, these little fish-like spines, are very nicely detailed. You can see the lines here on some of them, briefly or very faintly sculpted in. Got some more lines sculpted along the main edges, prominent edges of these little spines, which adds a bit more texture and definition to this figure, I would say. And then and speaking of the legs or the limbs, I thought the limbs were entirely the same because they're both facing the exact same direction. So I thought Playmates just reused the same limbs, which is kind of cheap if you think about it, but there is some difference between the hind limbs and the front limbs. Yes, they are facing the same way, but the amount of like attachments, these little things that are coming off the leg, which I assume they're probably more of these little spine things, they are slightly different from each other. So you got some here that sculpted wise look a lot different than the ones on the hind legs. So there is some difference in variation there, which I do appreciate. And there's a lot of nice scale work going on the sculpt of the limbs too, which is really nice. I really do dig that and respect it. So I really like that a lot. You can even see some webbing between the toes. Very, very faint webbing. There's not a whole lot going on in the hands, but you can see some webbing on the hind limbs, which is pretty nice, and not a whole lot on the underside of the feet or hands as well. And you can see more of the detail on the little spines going on there, which is very nice. So the sculpt work is really great on this one. Colors, like I said, the colors are based off of concept art, which is really nice colors, I would say. Yeah, I do wish maybe it was the colors from the one in the film with like this dark black color with the pink spines and the pink frill and little tendons coming off here. You know, that would have been cool. You know, a lot of people can repaint this if they want to, but for what it is, I think it looks really nice in my opinion. I really do like this light turquoise blue color, and I like how it contrasts very well. It complements this purple, pinkish purple color on the spines very well, and I like how there's paint all over the entire body. It feels very complete in my opinion, and the pink here is actually very bright, so it gives it like this really nice bright translucent shining color to it, which is perfect for like a sea monster. So yeah, I really do like that a lot. You get some lighter, like a light grayish white color for the underside. Unfortunately, it only goes from like here to the neck all the way to at least the front part of this body segment. Unfortunately, it doesn't continue throughout the entire body, which is a shame. But it is what it is. It would have been nice to get some of this pink color here on these parts of the arms just to make them stand out a bit more. And obviously some nail paint would be nice, but this is Playmates. They don't necessarily paint a lot on their figures, but enough to get the job done, I would say. And then the entire face right here, like the lower jaw, these tendons and the frill is like this light cream color, almost like a bone color, I would say, which looks really nice. I think they could have chosen a different color for the flaps, I'd say. Maybe like this pink or this blue color, or a mix of both, like what they did with the body. You got a little bit of that blue running along the whiskers until it fades into that white color. The eyes are just painted orange with a black pupil. I think her eyes in the film were pink to match like that pink tone that she had, which this is the same thing that Evolved Godzilla had. But pretty nice. Looks somewhat menacing for the most part. And here on the inside of the mouth is painted in like this light fleshy pink color, which looks nice. Like I said, I really wish the teeth were painted, and the whole inside here where you can see the underside jaw color with the blue, that kind of bugs me just a little bit, not too much. Would have been nice if they just painted that whole thing pink, but it is what it is. You know, this isn't a collector, highly quality, you know, collectible figure. This is a kid's toy, a Playmates kid's toy, so that's to be expected, but it's a very good one at that, you know, or else why did I get it, you know? But very cool though. And yeah, this figure is just spot on. It's such a great one, as I keep on saying. So that's pretty much it for like the figure. Here's the little accessory that it came with, which is a little vehicle, and it's warping already because it's out here in the sun. But we got the little submarine that was shown in the film, the submarine that had the crew in it trying to follow Godzilla to see where he was going, because he was getting ready to take on Scar King and his army. So it's a nice little plastic little figure. It really adds to the scale of how big these Titans are. So this is really cool, fun for playability for kids, but also for pictures for us adults. So I think it's really cool, really nice way to show the true sizes of them. It's a nice detail on the submarine too. Not a whole lot. It's one solid color. There isn't any movement or joints or anything. Just a nice solid color. Though for a little ship like this, you're just going to be holding it. You know, you don't really need to have it to move. You're going to be controlling the monster anyway. So really cool there. I really do like this little ship a lot. And we'll go ahead and compare Tiamat with another monster. Here we got Godzilla, which obviously was the one that took on Tiamat, and I think they look really nice together. Yeah, I think they pair very nicely because of the whole scene in the movie. You can also just see just how massive these monsters are with the submarine. So yeah, these two figures look really nice together, I'd say. And here's a very quick, a very rough pose that I did here of Tiamat wrapping around Godzilla, just like in the movie. And like I said, the amount of articulation you can get in Tiamat really adds to the fun playability and posability you can just add to these cool sequences like this with all of your other figures. So you can get cool poses like this. Obviously, I could have done a much better job with this. I was just doing it very quickly, very briefly, just to prove, you know, how great this figure is. Obviously, I can get a much better shot than this that doesn't look very weird looking. I can get it to look more like an actual action sequence, but just a good way to show you just how cool this figure is. And I think these two especially pair up very nicely together, in my opinion. And then another thing I should mention is that you can get it into a standing position, as you see right here, which stands very well in my opinion. So now that's a plus. That's good for display. But yeah, that's all I have for this review, guys, for this figure. To give my final thoughts before I sign out, it is an excellent figure. I keep on saying that. I'm gonna touch upon it brief, but it's a very great figure, great articulation, great detail for the most part, even though it's not entirely movie accurate. Great colors, just an overall great figure. So if you're a Godzilla collector and you're really into these Playmates figures, I highly recommend this one if you can find it. Yeah, I mean, it's just a solid figure. That's my opinion. I really like it. I highly recommend it. I think it makes for a great addition to any Godzilla collector's collection. So yeah, I easily give this figure a 10 out of 10, easily. So yeah, that's all I have left for this review, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys again for the next video. Peace.